Real YouTubers draw their draft picks, so that's what I'm gonna do for the well. Hey guys, how's it going? Professor Shuckle here, and today I'm back with another Pokemon video. This time I'll be going over my draft for something called the Well, which is a new league started by my good pal TJ. And what's interesting about this league is that it bans Tera. It's a Gen 9 post-home Paldea Dex draft league with Tera banned, which I think is pretty cool. For those of you who've seen my previous videos in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet or Gen 9, know my views on Tera, where I think it's broken and needs to be banned. And I also have this take that SV without Tera has the potential to be like Oras, but where hazards are balanced, because even though there are more hazard options in Scarlet and Violet, because like a lot of ground types got spikes and stuff, we also have boots to kind of, negate the hazards, and there's not, knockoff is not super common, like some months get it, but not a lot. So, I think there's a good balance, and I feel like Scarlet and Violet introduced a lot of really good viable and usable Pokemon. Like, for example, all the starters are pretty good. A lot of the photosynthesis and quark drive mons are really good. Then you have stuff like Cerulege and Garganackle and the Dunsparce. A lot of things that are viable, which is really good. So I feel like we have enough mons to be able to draft good teams and not rely on Tera to win necessarily. And so, yeah. And I wasn't gonna do a draft analysis for this, but my good pal Sean recommended, or suggested actually, that I could just draw the Pokemon that I drafted, which is something what he did for his WPF draft, I think. And it was really cool, so you should check him out. I'll link his video in the description since he came with the idea. And it was really cool, and he said I could use his ideas. So I was like, okay, because I don't really want to make slides. I was just going to go over my team really quickly before my week one, because I do plan on uploading this, I think, unless I get really busy. Yeah, so without much further ado, let's jump into our first pick. I had the second pick in the draft. Like, I bullied TJ enough where he gave me a good enough pick round one, so I was pretty happy because my luck in Gen 9 league so far has been terrible. I've been getting like middle or like the back end of the draft usually, and that's really annoying because even though you get some really good Pokemon, like my Trick House team is really good, but I don't get to try what I want to. I'm kind of like stuck with getting the best thing that's left on the board kind of deal. But here, I got second pick, and I was between two mons, and I thought like the first pick would take one of them, so I thought, oh, that makes my decision easier because I don't need to worry about which mon to take. I can just take the one that they don't take. But they ended up taking Chien-Pao, which was not something not on my radar personally. I feel like it's just going to be another Weavile and disappoint me because, Weavile never got the kills for me. It always missed out, and I feel like Chien-Pao would do the same. So I was not really looking to get Chien-Pao anyway. But the other one I was really considering was Dragapult because I never really got to use it in Gen 8, except for like the start of the gen, where I used to spam it with the what do you call it? The Sand Mega Pitch team with Dragapult when it was allowed, and then after that it was banned, and I never got a high enough pick in like leagues because it was banned from tours because it's too good, and then I never got a high enough pick in leagues to get Dragapult because you had to be first pick or it was gone basically. So I debated getting that because I feel like it's really good. It's fast. It can hit physical or special. Has a bunch of sets like with Will-O-Wisp Hex, Specs, Dragonon's Darts, and like U-turn with boots or whatever. You know, like you can do a bunch of stuff, which is something I really like in my first pick. I prefer getting a fast, hard-hitting mon right away because I feel like it makes your job so much easier towards the back end of the draft, so you don't have to struggle for like speed or like a breaker. And the other mon I was really considering was the mon I'm drawing, Iron Valiant, which kind of reminds me of Mega Diancie, um, because it's another fairy type with a pretty good secondary typing and fighting, and it also is very fast. I think it hits like what, base 116 speed, and it hits like a truck on both physical or special side. So kind of like Diancie, which can hit on both sides as well. And is this Phil? Okay, there you go. Yeah, and I think again it can do a bunch of stuff because it's based on Glade and Gardevoir, which get a bunch of support moves. And yeah, like it can also run boost energy, which is something I really valued. Like you can be pretty creative with the booster energy, which is also really cool. And then it has setup on both sides. It has Calm Mind and Swords Stance, and it has like Speed Break, Moonblast, Close Combat, Aura Sphere, Liquidation, Knockoff, Energy Ball, Shadow Ball, Thunder Wave 2, I think, Draining Kiss. So it can definitely do a bunch of stuff. I've even seen it being used defensively, even though its defensive stats are not that good. Where I saw Money Guy, I think, in Trick House used the defensive Rocky Helmet Encore set to beat my Annihilate, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, so yeah, this mon I think is pretty cool, and I hope it puts in the work for me. I know some people said it's not as good. It's kind of hard to use, and sometimes it misses out on the KOs. But to me, it kind of feels like Diancie, so hopefully I can support it as such and, put in the work. Anyway, for my next pick, again, I was considering two mods, both of which I thought synergized really well with Iron Valiant. I was kind of looking for defensive or just like synergy in general. And I was really heavily considering Iron Treads because removal's kind of trash in this meta. Like very few Pokemon get removal, and it's pretty cool. It's like also has pretty good speed, has good utility with like knockoff and what do you call it? Knockoff, Earthquake, Volt Switch, and like just Ground Steel, Rapid Spin, Rocks, pretty good mon. But I decided, in the end, I decided on Goldengo because I felt like it covered all the weaknesses of Iron Valiant really well. Because Iron Valiant is weak to Psychic, Fairy, Poison, and Flying, and Goldengo either resists or is immune to all of those. It also gives me a Steel type. Ghost is also a pretty good offensive typing, so that's great. It also gets set up a Nasty Plot, and it has Recover, which is really good. And then obviously its ability is really good, which is it called as good as gold or whatever. And it's like you cannot use status moves against this Pokemon, like they fail. So like you can't defog and then you can't spin because it's a ghost type, and then you can't like Thunder Wave or Wisp it or Trick it. So that's really cool, or like Taunt it. So that's pretty fire. In my opinion, it has a decent speed tier, so it can be a good Scarfer. It definitely hits hard with specs because Make It Rain is broken. So yeah, I thought this fit my team really well. And again, it's like Newmon Syndrome, and I feel like this fit. So yeah, ended up getting the Goldengo for our second pick. And starting that fairy steel dragon core, and obviously dragon's the least important of that core, so we've kind of covered the first two. Um, Next up is something where I kind of went like rogue a little bit, and it was like me just being like, oh, I kind of want to see it for myself and not listen to other people that this mon is bad. Because this mon used to be the king of OU, and obviously it cannot just drop off the face of Earth like that. Like it just can't go from being so awesome to terrible, just like that. I just refuse to believe that. Of course, I'm talking about Landris T. The king of OU has always been the king of OU. It has lost some tools this gen. Mostly Defog and Rock Polish, I think, are the biggest. I think it also lost Knockoff. But to me, I still feel like it's a good Pokemon, right? Like, Ground Flying is a terrific typing, and what do you call it? It still has rocks. It still has U-turn. It still has, like it's still a good Scarfer. It still has Sword Stance. It even got Taunt this generation, which I think is pretty cool. Because before a lot of times bulky waters or like flyings could come in on it, and like kind of heal up, like Slowbro and Slowking and stuff could come in, heal up, and then check it continuously like that. But now you can taunt those things like the bulky grounds like Hippo, for example, right? You can earthquake them and then like just taunt them so they can't recover, and then they're weakened. Like especially in like Hippo's case, it can't really hit it hard, which is really good. And then it still keeps like bulk up as well. And I don't know if this gets plot because I know Lando I gets plot, so maybe this also gets plot. But if it does, that's pretty cool. I don't know if it does. I haven't checked. But yeah, I think this mon, like as I said, I wanted to try it out for myself, see if it is actually as bad as people say. Because I was kind of feeling Alan Turing, where he said, when they told him, "Oh, Enigma can't be broken," and he's like, "Okay, let me try, and then we'll know for sure." So kind of along those lines, where yeah, that's what I was like. Okay. We'll see if it is as bad as people say it is. So I decided to get Lando. It was good, again, for pivoting for my first two, because I didn't have pivots. I was heavily considering Tinglu too, because like Hazards plus Goldengo blocking works really well. And if Iron Valiant was not as good as people said, like they said the problem was true, where it can't kill KO mods, I thought it would be good to have Hazards. But yeah, in the end, I just decided to get a Lando just because everyone was hating on it, and I didn't like that. So even though I'm not the best Lando T user in the world, my Lando T usage is pretty terrible. But what can you do? Okay, because I made a mess of that. Anyway, moving on to our fourth round pick. I wasn't sure how or why this mon was around. I feel like it should have definitely be gone because it's one of the best pivot mons available. Unless it's Oras, where I think Zapdos is one of the best because it has better recovery. But yeah, for some reason this mon was available round 4, and I just had to get it. Obviously the color and the design should tell you that it's Rotom Wash. Oops. Let's do the eyes here. Yeah, once again, this is just a solid mon, right? And it has been since it was introduced. Like, it's always just been like super good. Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave, Trick, Screens. It did lose Pain Split in Defog this gen, which is a little unfortunate. but you know, like it's not the end of the world. Like we can find some cope removal later. Um, that's what I said to myself anyway. But then again, this has like nasty plot still, which is really good. Like I've seen defensive, what do you call it? Rotom put in the work with nasty plot still, because it suddenly starts putting pressure, and obviously Volt Switch plus Hydro Pump is really strong. There's not a lot of good ground types, not a lot of good grass types this gen, because you know that's why ground stab is pretty broken, because the grasses are just not there. So that also means the water stab is better, right? So that's something that's pretty cool. Yeah, and then again, this provides more momentum. Like we'll turn core starting with Lando, bring in Goldengo, bring in Choice Specs or Choice Pen Iron Valiant, and start clicking buttons. Also, everything so far it can set up, which I think is pretty cool. And then obviously giving like screens to Lando or Valiant or something to set up is obviously appreciated. So yeah, thought Rotom Wash was pretty good for my team. And so far I've had unique typing for like unique double typing on every mon we've had, so which kind of gives us like 8 unique typings in 4 picks, which is pretty cool. And I decided to keep up that trend by grabbing my dark type next, because I'm a big believer in you should get a good dark type, because the bad dark types don't really help you. You know what I mean? Like they don't really stop the psychics from going ham, because they're just gonna ignore it. Like if you get a Devil or something, nobody's prepping for that. Some people might lose to it, but for the most part, I doubt people are gonna lose to stuff like Devil. Anyway, so I decided to get Zarude, which is, as I'm just drawing this, realizing very hard to draw. But this is another mon which I think, I know it's done really well in, what do you call it, SW, but I know that's mostly because of like the, what do you call it, the Tera, because Tera makes it like really good. But I'm hoping it still puts in the work like without Tera, because obviously you got access to Trailblaze, which is really, really cool. And because now you don't have to rely on Scarf, because you have an alternative way of boosting your speed, which I think is really good. I think it lost Darkest Lariat but got Crunch, and it got Sword Stance. I think it previously only had what do you call it, Bulk Up. So that's pretty cool, because you can boost up faster. It still kept Jungle Healing, which I think is pretty cool as well. Like status is not gonna annoy, and it kept Power Whip. It kept I think it keeps Encore and stuff, which is still really good. Still a good Scarfer. I think it keeps Taunt as well. Yeah, so I think just once again, just another really good Pokemon. And I needed a dark type, and there were not a lot of good dark types left, and I thought, oh, this was also really good for the speed tier, because I have Lando at 91, right? Because it hits 309, yeah. And then I have Iron Valiant at all the way above 110, and I wanted something between 100 and 110, so this kind of fit that speed tier nicely. So yeah, and hopefully he puts in the work, right? I don't know what else. Like, there's something like gray here, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's my Zarude. Best attempt at the Zarude anyway. I feel like it's terrible, but it's so hard to draw. And the next mod's not any easier, so just hang with me, right? This is why I linked Sean's video, so you can watch his beautiful drawings, because mine are terrible. I don't know how to draw this. Moving on, I wanted to keep up with the theme of, having unique typings, and I kind of wanted another rocker. Although this is not the best rocker in the world, but, you can get them up, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, okay, I don't know how to draw this, man. This is impossible. But anyway, I was looking for something that could abuse the Wolf turn I have now, because I also got Zarude, which can still U-turn, which is pretty cool. Um, and yeah, like oops, I meant to color it for the other, but it's okay because this is not gonna end well anyway. Yeah, so I wanted something that could put pressure, and maybe on like the physical side, because a lot of times I've seen a special Valiant seems to be better than like, what do you call it, physical. So I wanted something else that had like physical presence and like was a strong hitter right off the bat, like it didn't need setup. So I decided to get Hisuian Arcanine, which I cannot draw for the life of me, so bear with me. Uh, but this mon gets rocks. It has a cool fire rock typing, which I think is pretty cool. And it gets rock head, and so if you hit your head smashes, this mon can hurt and hurt bad, because you know, like a head smash and flare blitz and wild charge and stuff are powerful moves, and like they hurt, and especially if they hit. And if you don't take recoil, you're really gonna be like, you know, putting in the work because you're not really care. A lot of times, like Flare Blitz, the downside is the recoil. But if you don't have to take it, it's such a free click. So I've seen this thing do demon stuff with like Choice Bane and Adamant Choice Scarf. It hits so hard. And it has rocks, it has Wisp, it has Morning Sun. It's good, you know, it's a good check to like what do you call it? Does it resist like poison and bug and you know? Also, like fire rock's pretty hard to switch into. You need like what, water ground and like dragon ground, I think. And there's not a lot of those. Like this Garchomp and Quagsire and Gastro, but it also kept CC, I think, which is really good. I don't know if it gets Trailblaze though. If it gets Trailblaze, that's also pretty epic. But it definitely kept Flame Charge, I think, which is good because you can boost speed if you need to. E-Speed Priority is really good, and then another offensive rocker is definitely good for the team. So yeah, I thought this one is cool. I was mostly inspired by Sean because I feel like he used it really well, so I always wanted to try that mon out. So yeah, it got him. And then this next mon is terrible, but he's also for some reason really hard to draw, which I did not expect. But oh well. This mon, I'm not a huge fan. I know L5 is a big fan. He thinks it's really good. I think it's pretty bad. It is fast, but it can't really revenge because half the time it misses, or the other half the time it's like super weak. So I'm not a fan. I miss my Crobat, but sadly there's no Crobat this gen. So I'm stuck with this Pokemon, which is Noivern. I really wanted Dragonite because it was 12 points, and I thought that was a steal. But Dragonite lost Defog, and I really wanted Defog, so I'm stuck with Noivern, which I'm not. As I said, I'm not a big fan of this Pokemon. He's not good. I guess he's okay. Maybe it's because I don't really run specs on him, and also because I feel like, you know, ice coverage is so common that it just looks bad. I don't know. I always prefer Crobat or Talonflame, even because Talonflame at least can Brave Bird and Sword Stance. This thing can really only like either be specs, but then Hurricane can still miss, or you run like Throat Spray, Boom Burst, but again, that's not like the best, I think. So I don't know. This one's just bad in my opinion, but it has Defog and Hurricane, and it can drop Dracos, I suppose, and has Taunt and Super Fang and Flamethrower. It's okay, but I don't like it, and I'm not gonna admit it's good because then L5 will come after me, saying I'm a hypocrite. So, you know, I'll still call him bad. Oops, why is this not going? Oh, there we go. Also, this is also really hard to draw. Like, hello, why do you have so much stuff going on? I thought you were just a dragon. Like, you know, fake weak dragon. That is not what I wanted to do. There we go. Does it have any other like cool stuff? Not really, right? I mean, it has infiltrator, so which is really good for like the screen mons, I guess. And okay, that's like the white thing that it has, but now it feels like I made it look weird, but I don't know how to draw it, so forgive me. There we go. There we go. And this stuff is purple too. Yeah, I'm not the best drawer in the world. And then, you know, Neumann sucks, so who really cares? Yeah. So I got Neumann, as I said, for removal mostly. I probably think I'm gonna use in defensive most weeks if I had to guess, just to, you know, if there's something they can set hazards really easily, just to be able to defog. Because I don't want to be running boots on everything all the time. Next up, I decided to get some bulk. You know, get a mon that had some decent bulk now. And I feel like it's actually pretty decent in this meta, actually. Because getting an evolution gave it the access to Evilite, which I think is really good for because it had decent bulk before anyway, and then Evilite just makes it go off the roof. It does have pretty good coverage too because it was a Gen 2 mon. Yeah, I'm talking about Dunce Burst, which I think is actually pretty decent now. It used to be, you know, one of those forgetful Gen 9 Gen 2 mons, like those normals that nobody cared about because it was so bad. But getting access to a Wildlight seems to have given it a new lease of life. Also, the Dunsparce is like really cool. Like it's Evo, because it can like do Combine Rattle stuff or Coil, and it gets like Boomburst to hit really hard. And then Dunsparce, which also has Serene Grace, which is pretty cool. Has Rocks, which is pretty good, and Roost, which is, you know, obviously really good. And then Body Slam, Serene Grace to get paras. You can Headbutt Flinch if you really want after getting the para, and like Glare is a broken move. It has Earthquake. It can Coil and be hard to kill because it's only weak to fighting types. I don't know if this one, Dunsparce's special attack is pretty good as well. I know the Dunsparce's special attack is decent for Combine. I don't know if Dunsparce is as well. Because I mostly see physical used on it, just so you can body slam para or headbutt flinch with glare. But again, I think this one eats like special hits really well, which is really good. Because I feel like my team has physical bulk with Zarude and Lando, but I just needed some more speed F so that you know, Rotom can be freed up a little bit. It doesn't have to be speed F all the time. So Dunsparce, another good Pokemon. Like, you know, I can check the ghost types. There's a Dragapult after all. Any other strong ghost types? Maybe it can check Chiyu? I don't know, because I don't have a Chiyu check at the moment. Hopefully it can check it. I don't know. We'll see. But it was either this or Ursaring, and I kind of wanted more hazards because I didn't really have hazards, like either removal or things. So I thought Dunsparce with the rocks is probably better. So yeah, ended up getting Dunsparce. And next up, continuing the trend of getting more hazard setters, I decided to get another ground type to, you know, build on my hazard options, because this mon has finally gotten access to hazards for the first time, because it didn't have them before, so it wasn't as good, and that's why you always went for Seismitoad or Swampert. But now you have Big Quagsire with rocks, T-Spikes, and Spikes. I think it gets all three. If I'm not wrong anyway. And it has Recover still. It keeps what do you call it? It keeps unaware, which is also really good, I think. Yeah, and it's a pretty good mon. That's not what I meant to do. And I guess I'll have to draw his hands the different color. There we go. It's pretty terrible Quagsire. I don't know how I messed Quagsire up, but I guess it's easy to figure out. At least it's Quagsire. I don't know. It's another just gives me another ground type if Lando's, or if to free up Lando a little bit. I guess if I have to check something, Unaware is always really good. Yeah, not much more to say. I just wanted Spikes and T-Spikes the option. Quagsire is not the best hazard setter in the world. It's slow, it's taunt fodder. But hey, maybe it can set them up, like Rocky Helmet, Unaware, they click something and then they have to switch because they don't beat it. And I can get up a layer or two maybe. I don't know. We'll see. He's gonna try his best, okay? And then last of all, I have 3 points left and I still didn't have a grounded poison. And all the draft players say grounded poisons are very important, even though I don't think my team is very T-Spike weak per se. But still, I didn't want my Valiant and what do you call it? Zarude, I think mostly are the ones affected, to not be able to run what do you call it? To not have to run boots all the time. So I decided to round off my draft with a poison type, which also got some buffs this gen. Mr. Muck, he gets T-Spikes now, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, and that's our draft. I think it's okay. I don't think it's the best I've drafted, but it's certainly not the worst I've ever drafted. I feel like it lacks a little bit of immediate power without you're forced to run choice items to kind of make things hurt, but a lot of my mons do get set up, like the first 5 Valiant, Goldango, Landorus, Rotom, Zarude, all can set up. And then Arcanine does hit hard if its moves connect, because they're all high base power, and does have a pretty good attack. But that's what I would say the main issue with the team is, like an immediate power breaker. Which is why I kind of wanted D9, right? Like D9 is pretty strong with setup, but it can also hit really hard. And that's something maybe that I think this team is missing, and I might need to change stuff around, maybe like drop Arcanine even though it's cool, to get something else. T just signed by Glamora, which I think which hurt a little bit. I think my draft went downhill a little from there, but it's not the worst, I think. Also, it's the first time I haven't had Glamora in a Scarlet and White draft. Like, I had it in Kickoff, I had it in Trick House, I have it in GBA, which is, they have a GBA has a tour return, and I'm taking part in it, but I'm not doing a draft analysis for that. I'm just gonna go over my team and upload the games when I play. But yeah, hopefully this will be fun. I'm excited for no Tera. Hopefully I'm proven right, and that what do you call it? That it turns out to be a really good format. It should be fun anyway, because the league is mostly like friends, so it's supposed to be non-toxic, but it's not like we compromised on quality, because we have a bunch of really good players, and we're all looking to like learn and improve. So yeah, should be fun, and I shall be uploading this unless I get super busy, and I do intend on live coming, I think, depending on when I play the games, I guess. And hopefully I win so it doesn't seem as bad, but we'll see. I might just be washed now, right? Who knows? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, huge shout outs to Sean for the idea. He did it first, so definitely go check him out. He also makes really good content, really good analysis and like team building and stuff. He's really good. Sean's like amazing. Like, you can learn so much from him, so definitely check him out. Also, I guess shoutouts to Wolfie, because I stole the intro from him. But he doesn't do that anymore. It used to be so funny when he used to do the real YouTubers. But yeah, Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!